All right, hello and welcome. You are joining us today for the first of hopefully many of these arena drafts. I'm Mike, joined with Jason,
Hi, I'm back.
and yeah, we're just gonna load in an arena draft. Notably, this is my third ever draft. I didn't record the first two. I hadn't made a decision as to whether that was something I wanted to do. So that yeah, this is my third ever Modern Horizons 3 draft. So I immediately just reached for my mouse to change the screen because. Anyway, so we're looking at pack one, pick one here. Notably, and I want to throw this out here. The highlighted numbers, the fire and the gold and all that. There is a program in the background running called Draftsmith, which you can get from untapped.gg. I strongly recommend it as a tool that can help you kind of evaluate cards, especially early on in a format when maybe you personally aren't as familiar.
Right. It's a useful tool, as we will see in a couple of your arena drafts. Also has maybe some funny ideas about what you should be doing.
Yeah, let's put it this way. Everything is a tool, right? It is not the end-all, be-all. There is no such thing as an AI drafter that will draft better than people who know what they're doing.
No, some computer science scientists tested that once. It doesn't work.
Yeah, but yeah, pick one. No surprise, the Springheart Nantuku. That card is just nuts. I'm sure as most people are aware by now in the limited format, that Writhing Chrysalis has the highest win rate among commons in the set. So yeah, going Nantuku into Writhing Chrysalis, I'm perfectly happy with this start.
The so-called mythic common.
Yeah, we don't get very many of those, do we?
No, it's not very often. But like a high power set like MH3 where the power level of everything is so high seems like a fine place for it to show up.
Yeah, absolutely.
We definitely don't want, like in a standard legal set, a Glorybringer to be in the common slot.
Yeah, Glorybringer was enough of a problem at the rare slot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can certainly agree with that
Actually,
sentiment.
you know what? We did have a format like that. It was called Time Spiral.
Yes. Sprout Swarm.
Yeah. One of my favorite R&D stories is R&D was testing for Time Spiral Remastered, and they got Sprout Swarm all the way up to rare, were still testing it, and still thought it was too broken. They were like, we can't put this in the set as a mythic, right?
Yeah.
And ended up scrapping
just
it.
scrapped it from the set entirely. All right, so pick three here. We're looking at the Expanding Ooze. We're looking at the Worm Coil Larva. Draftsmith, as you can see, has Malevolent Rumble rated higher than those, in large part because it tweaks the ratings based on what you've already picked.
I think I agree
in
with
this case,
Draftsmith,
I agree with Draftsmith. We are definitely green based on our first couple picks. Staying green and just making sure we kind of cut the color is a thing that I'm interested in doing here. And Malevolent Rumble, it's just a good card.
Yeah.
It plays into the Eldrazi synergies. It finds you your threats or your lands, whatever you're looking for. It just does what you need it to do. Here in this pack, if we weren't already trying to solidify ourselves into the Eldrazi deck, I'd be looking pretty hard at that Hexgold Slith.
Sure.
I'm a big fan of that card.
That card does get out of hand very quickly.
Yeah, right here, it's a choice between the Void Pouncer and the red-green X. I think it was red-green-white
I think I disagree with your pick
landscape.
here.
Taking the Void Pouncer over the land.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would have taken the land there.
For what it's worth, Draftsmith also agrees with that. Draftsmith wanted me to take the land over the Void Pouncer. Because I'm not sure where I'm going to wind up, I like having cards
Yeah.
before I start worrying about the mana. Though I suppose depending on the format, it's backwards. Like in Vintage Cube, I'll take mana over a lot of things.
Well, more than the color fixing, you have at least two picks that were Eldrazi based.
Eldrazi related.
So
yeah.
I want the colorless source.
Yeah, and that's completely fair. In my mind, I probably should have also paid a little bit more attention to the fact that I have the Springheart Nantuku, that having the fetch lands just matters more. You get multiple triggers there. But, we have a Void Pouncer over a land. It is what it is. We're taking this territory color. It's...
Territory color is kind of an absurd card at face value.
Yeah.
And turns out its gameplay matches that face value.
Yeah, the downside here being that we had a pick 6 Horrific Assault that we're shipping down the line further. So, like, there was no way to just cut off green there, unfortunately.
And that is a thing I like to do is, like, pivot around a color and really cut it off in pack one.
Yeah, and we'll see, I guess, better examples of that in future drafts. But it is what it is. So, we do wind up with another landscape here. As long as it's got green in it, we're pretty okay. If it's got green and red, it's that much better.
Yeah.
And we'll see kind of where the packs take us. The only thing we know kind of for sure right now is that we want to be playing these green cards, right?
And we're going to get that sheltering landscape anyway.
Yeah, easy game.
Never punished.
So, yeah. At 8 picks in, having 5 cards and 3 lands, it's a little dubious to what I would prefer, but, you know, like, and this pack, again, no help. Nothing wheeling that we want to play.
I actually think, like, based on your picks now, I think I'm actually taking the Inventor's Axe out of this pack.
You can keep the axe. I'm like, I barely play that card even when I draft the energy decks.
Oh, it probably doesn't make the final cut for the deck, but Sheltering Landscape is really only helping with the potential off color.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is red, right? So, like, we are potentially trying to play red here. It is colorless. It is a fetch land for the Ned Tuku. So, like, it definitely does enough that I'll take it, but yeah, I'm not thrilled about it. This is just the packs showing me that maybe I'm either being contested for the deck that I'm trying to draft, or that I kind of maybe moved into the wrong. Yeah, and any of those things is possible. Either way, I'm not exactly thrilled here. You know, we have no wheel here. We have 4 lands in our first handful of picks. We're just, like, hating on cards at this point.
The Conjurer, notably, is actually a very good card in everything except the Eldrazi deck.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and yep, Mog Mob just hanging out, being unplayable, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we look immediately at a red rare, and we're excited because we're in red, and then realize it's a Flare of Duplication, and immediately move past it.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
This pack has a Dryad.
Yeah.
And that's...
Dryad's super important for literally any of the Eldrazi decks. It doesn't matter what combo of colors you are.
Yeah, but we're not even wheeling anything out of this pack, right? Like, the Dryad is the only real playable card in green or red.
It sure is.
So it's, again, not exciting. We're kind of looking at this Conjurer like, can we move this thing into the deck at some point? Like, we're not happy with how this start is going.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a rough looking start. Looking into what we can see of the pack beyond the card.
Yeah.
There's a Propagator Drone.
There's another Dryad. There's
I've been unimpressed with Propagator Drone.
Oh, I was about to say the exact opposite.
Really?
I feel like this card has just overperformed every time I've seen it.
Interesting.
Yeah. I wind up with the Propagator Drone here. I'm just kind of like looking around at my other options. The Dryad, I think, is the only other real consideration here.
Yeah.
Like, Tusker is fine.
That's what I was about to float. I think I end up with the Dryad out of this pack over the Drone. But
no, I very much want that Drone. I think that Drone is very, very good. And like I said, I've been over impressed with it. Notably, Wither and Bloom in the last pack, Wither and Bloom again in this pack.
And Wither and Bloom is a very important card in this format.
Yeah, and I'm not really married to red here. Like, I have a Writhing Chrysalis. The Void Pouncer can take it or leave it.
Yeah, the Writhing Chrysalis can be off a splash. The Jund builds in this format tend to be very flexible.
Yeah. So I take the Oozewag here. It's just, a big body, being able to give trample. I could have 3 Wormcoil larvas by this point in the draft.
You could.
And, I think at this point it's a little too late to try to do anything about that. It's just interesting to note that they were there and we could have grabbed them.
Worth noting that the Rakdos archetype does appear to revolve primarily around artifacts.
Yeah.
And the Wormcoil is 3 of them.
Yeah, it's true. So we grab another landscape there over the second Oozewag. I'm not really looking to have 2 Oozewags. I think the card is fine, but not really what we're trying to do.
Is Labyrinth for your collection, or...?
No, at this point, we're still trying to be the Eldrazi deck, and Labyrinth is a colorless source that is sometimes 2 mana, depending on if we find anything like the Breaker of Silence, if we get lucky in pack 3 and open a Titan.
Sure.
Like, there are definitely ways to make the Labyrinth do more. At this point, I'm looking at this blue card because I'm not really seeing anything that I'm excited to play. I already have a bunch of landscapes, and honestly, I'm starting to get worried about my playable count. We're coming into the back half of pack 2 here.
Yeah.
And my playable count is, what, like
Not-
10?
Yeah, not a lot. Now, an earlier pick you did make is the Idol of False Gods, and that is a card that, for me, has vastly overperformed.
See, that I'm kind of the other way around on that card. I took it because it was the only thing that was even remotely playable given what I'm trying to accomplish here.
Oh,
but
I picked those very high.
This might be one of the only drafts where I have them in my deck.
Ah, interesting.
We
And
a whole bunch of nothing again. I think we take the Barbarian Ring here. We are not excited by any of these things.
At this point, I might take the Marauder because we've seen some interesting black go around a little.
Yeah, I didn't even take that. I took some Izzet card that I'm not going to play.
Right.
More cards I'm not going to play. This is just... We are very nervous for how this draft has gone so far. We led off at least a little strong, I think, on the green cards, and then just...
It fell off quick.
Yeah, we are 100% being fought for the green cards, which is fine.
It happens.
The green red Eldrazi deck is arguably the best deck.
Going the other way, you're not being fought as hard?
Yeah, potentially. Again, we did wind up passing that 7th pick horrific assault, so the person passing to us in pack 2 might very easily be in green as a base color. So I'm not even looking at more landscapes. I already have 5 landscapes sitting here. Six landscapes, I don't know, 5 or 6. So this is just rare drafting because I'm not playing the energy goblin.
More stuff for the chest.
Yeah. So here we are with a really good black rare Birthing Ritual, which, as you can see, Draftsmith ranks super low. Guessing it's just hard to have the curve line up where Birthing Ritual is doing what you need it to do.
It's hard to make it fulfill its potential in Limited. In Constructed, obviously, it's a riff on Birthing Pod. You can
that makes sense.
You can predetermine your curve to maximize value on it.
Right.
Here, though, a removal spell that's a land is just so versatile.
Yeah, it's kind of exactly the type of card we want, though we do just need more bodies. So I think I'm looking at this Kozilek's Unsealing. We've already taken a couple blue cards, but I get there in a minute where I see the Brood Scale down in the bottom.
Yeah.
This Party Thrasher, I have never read this card prior to this draft.
Yeah.
And that card seems pretty okay, but not for the archetype that we're currently trying to build. So yeah, we take the Brood Scale.
So one of my favorite cards in this format is, in fact, Breaker of Creation.
Okay.
It's massive. It has Annihilator. It has hexproof from color, so it's hard to destroy. And then, notably, its cast trigger has you gain life for each colorless permanent you control.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what if they blow up all your Eldrazi? Well, lands are colorless permanents, so this thing is going to, bare minimum, get you 8 life.
Maybe less if you're sacrificing some Eldrazi spawn to cast it.
Sure,
but maybe more if you just have a bunch of Eldrazi in play.
But 8 life sure is a very turn-the-corner number.
It is a lot. It is a lot. So yeah, we did, in fact, take the Breaker of Creation there. I think there was a couple other cards that were worth considering, at least. But yeah, the Breaker just kind of filling all the roles that we need. So here we have the option for the Skoa. The Chthonian Nightmare is chilling up there with a higher rating, but again, we're not really looking to touch on black. And the, I think, Pinnacle Monk, the Prowess, get back an instant or sorcery was up there, the modal land. The thing is we don't really have instants and sorceries to get back, which is very awkward. So... even though it's a better card than Skoa, we're still just going to take the Skoa because at least it's something that we can cast that does something.
Of course.
So, our last pick, we took that Quicksilver Amulet, we're still looking at it. The
Unstable
Quicksilver
Amulet.
Yeah, sorry. Unstable Amulet. kind of the only card in the pack that we could really play. Wumpus Aberration. This card just kills people.
Yeah, I have definitely had that card cast against me, and I've just been like, I have no answers for this. This 6/6 is just going to go the distance.
Yeah, so currently I'm sitting on the Dryad and the Malevolent Rumble that give me the opportunity to cast the Wumpus on turn 3, and the ability to put a Springheart and Tuku on the Wumpus and just make more 6/6s is pretty wild. That said, notably, you would get the drawback of the Aberration if you were making copies of it. So be careful.
Is it an enter the battlefield
I
ability?
believe it's an enter the battlefield. It is an Eldrazi. It might be a cast trigger. I might actually be wrong about that.
You took the Flesh Raker, which, for my money, is, of all the cards in MH3, the one that I would consider a mistake.
I don't think it's that bad. It's obviously a very powerful uncommon, but certainly not a mistake. It's one of the only understated Eldrazi.
Right, but it's also over-abilitied because its abilities never just go off once.
It's true. We did get the Birthing Ritual wheeled there, and as I said, this is only my 3rd draft in the format at the time of this.
Big splashy mythic, let's try it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is certainly a case of, well, I'm already a little bit struggling for playables. This thing might be able to evolve my board.
Yes.
Pun intended there. We're taking the Cyclops not because we want to, but because we might be able to play it and we might need the extra playable. Yeah. This deck started out okay. This draft started out okay. And then it's a bit of a train wreck.
Yeah.
This is not a deck I'm excited about.
And I mean, early in the format, like, people only have the vaguest clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
We're even seeing this now that we're post the Pro Tour.
Yes.
Like, people were dead set that blue-black was the worst. Like,
yeah.
That black was just the worst color in this format. And then all the Pro Tour pods were won by blue-black decks.
There was a disproportionate number of them, and part of it is because nobody's fighting for it,
right?
Which means you just get the best versions of the deck. One of the things that Draftsmith does, and I think you'll see me check it here after I kind of like go through and look and see what I have, is it'll suggest a deck based on your picks. And as mentioned before, it's a tool.
Yeah.
You should not take it as gospel.
No.
If it says to do something that you don't agree with, don't do it. But it is, again, a very useful tool. It's pulling statistical data from all of the people who use it, who draft, and kind of compiling.
It's giving you aggregate data.
Yes.
And aggregate data, while useful for making evaluation, doesn't mean much beyond that.
Yes. Yeah. So, in this deck, we are unfortunately 3 colors. We only have the one thing that we can use to make the Ugin's Labyrinth a soul land.
Right.
So in my personal opinion, I don't think it's worth putting in the deck. I'm more concerned with my color, my color fixing here. I'm not going to get much value out of it being a soul land, unfortunately.
No. The landscapes are definitely doing a lot of heavy lifting here.
Yeah, I believe I had 5 or 6 total in the pool. I think I trimmed it down to the 4 on screen. And in hindsight, I think I maybe wanted the extra one, again, because of the Nintuku more than anything. We also have the Flesh Raker that cares about colorless, we have the Void Pouncer that cares about colorless, and we have the Breaker of Creation.
Yeah.
That needs double colorless.
Yeah.
That said, we also have a bunch of things that make spawn, and some things that make spawn repeatedly even, including the Propagator Drone and the Idol of the False Gods. So I'm not tremendously worried about being able to cast my colorless cards.
Yeah.
So here you see we see what Draftsmith wants, and it wants the Birthing Ritual out, which makes an amount of sense to me.
Yes.
It wants the colorless lands in, which I just talked about why I'm kind of ignoring that. And then it wants me to play the blue improvised land, which has like no real text at all.
None.
Again, this is where aggregate data, as you were saying, is just slightly different from practical application. So again, just be aware that this is a very, very useful tool, but it doesn't mean do everything it says every time it says it.
Right.
So we keep this opening hand. We're not excited about it, but we at least have all 3 colors of our mana, and considering how much of a wreck I feel like the draft is, having all 3 colors is how I'm going to get any wins out of this deck.
Yeah.
So if you're new or newer to drafting on Arena, your goal should always be 4 wins.
Yeah, 4 wins gets you to 1,400 gems.
1,400 of the 1,500
which
entry
is
fee.
100 lower than the entry, so it's kind of like free rolling
Right.
if you take into account like dailies and your level up tracker.
Exactly. And also, once you've drafted enough that you have your set, then you start getting gems back for your duplicate rares.
Right.
So that 100 gems starts to get made up
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yeah.
So your goal when you're drafting on Arena, obviously you want to win your draft. You want
Right.
your 7 wins. That's a given. I don't think that needs to be expressed. But your floor, you really want 4 wins.
Yeah, that as long as I get my 4, I'm happy with a draft, generally speaking.
Yeah. So with this deck and how not happy I am with the deck as a whole, I am very much like, okay, let me scrape 4 wins out of this deck, and we will be happy with whatever happens given that.
Yeah.
So here I am being dumb and not realizing that I didn't play a blue source first because I wanted to get my value off my amulet.
Ah, yes. Yes.
And so we tried to immediately cast the Cyclops and then went, oh, right, I played this thing off the amulet instead of a blue source.
Yeah, I mean, with the red cards, you're so used to them impulse drawing and having a time limit, and
Yeah.
the amulet notably does not have that.
Well, also, I was thinking that I wanted to get the energy from the Cyclops so that I could activate the amulet again.
Gotcha.
And if I don't play the land out from under it, then I lose access to that land.
Right.
So yeah, but now we're further behind. We wound up with no plays on turn 2.
But you're about to have all 4 of your colors.
Yeah. Yup. It's a true sentence. Anyway, here's this Cyclops that should have been in play last turn. Notably, we also didn't pop the fetch land here because we have all of our colors, so we just kind of want the 3.
You want the colorless source.
Yeah. Just have it around. We don't have anything that makes spawns, so just making sure that we can cast the cards if we draw them.
Now, I'm usually playing against the Cyclops and not with it.
Yeah.
And I will note that every time a Cyclops comes down, it immediately has me, like, course correct. It has me, like, change the way I'm playing to account for it.
Sure.
I'm constantly watching that little energy icon in my opponent's corner to go, do they still have the 3? They still have the 3. Okay, I can't just rush into that thing.
Sure. So my opponent paid 3 mana and adapted their Witness, getting back a land, which I gotta be honest, if my opponent is just getting back a land with their Witness, that's about as good for me as it can get.
Absolutely.
But I think they didn't realize I don't know, the way they were hovering over their cards and looking at their mana, I think they might have thought they could activate their Vampire again.
Oh, yeah.
And not realizing that Adapt is just a...
They can activate it again. It just won't do anything.
I believe Adapt says you can only activate if it doesn't have a counter on it.
If it doesn't have counters on it?
I believe that's how it's worded. But in any case, a bit of a misstep from my opponent. I don't know if they could have followed up with anything. Basically, they let 1 mana go to waste and traded their creature for my creature, which is a fine trade. It's pretty what they traded their 2-drop for my 3-drop. Fine.
And if we're keeping score, that's a misplay for a misplay.
Assuming it's a misplay, because I don't, I'm not in my opponent's brain. Wormcoil Larva into Horrific Assault to clear my 4/5. Not great for me.
No, not great, but like the 4/5 kind of did the job at blank that attack step.
Yep. I think here
it's not like you're sitting here with an empty hand now.
Yeah. So my choices here are play the Skoa, and we can shoot down either the Wormcoil or the Evolution Witness. Or we can do this. We can play the Hunger Tide Rises, and if we had played the correct land, the Propagator Drone to follow it up. But for the second time this game, I have...
played the incorrect land in the incorrect order.
Yep.
Sequencing is important.
It sure is. I wish that I did it better this particular game.
Yeah.
So we're going to use our Siege Smash to just, brick an attack. Again, we don't feel good about it, but we're just trying to survive these misplays. Like we are costing ourselves percentage points here,
Absolutely.
but we really need to use our mana, especially if our intent is to follow up all of this stuff with the Skoa at some point. Skoa stabilizes this board pretty okay. We can kill off the Death Toucher. We can kill off the Death Toucher. We can trade with the 4th Ray. We've got a couple different options, but we should realistically have a Propagator Drone down, which then evolved our tokens, which makes our blocks significantly better. Opponent just kind of throwing all their cards at us at this point, and we're way behind.
Yeah. Well, Skoa has now, like, a useful 4 toughness target.
That's true, which means I kind of have to play it. The problem here is that I don't have the drone down.
Yeah.
And the drone, realistically here, playing the drone would have gotten the token that existed to evolve.
And you'd have a 3/3 by now.
Yeah, exactly. And then when we followed up with the Skoa, we have another bug from the Hungertide Rises. We get to play the Skoa, which evolves both of them. So we have a 3/3, a 2/2, a 4/4, and another 2/2, which is ultimately like kind of how we maybe get out from under all of this. And now, because those are my only 2 options and I only get to do one of them, I'm kind of having to weigh what I need to happen for this game to be winnable for me at this point.
Yeah. You very unfortunately locked yourself into a single spell.
Yeah.
When you really need to double spell.
Yeah, or barring double spell, at least be able to have what I needed in play already, so that I get more value out of the Skoa. Like, if this Skoa, instead of just killing off the menace creature, is put 2+1/+1 counters on my board and have a 4/4 and kill a thing, it's
a lot like double spelling.
Yeah, it's real similar. And unfortunately, my 2 mistakes this game with my mana have cost me pretty dearly. So with this attack, I'm pretty okay just trading here and trading one of mine for one of theirs in this case.
At this point, we're priced out of doing anything with the Saga anymore.
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned with that. We also, for what it's worth, do have this Propagator Drone. Like, we're going to get a 3rd insect.
Yeah.
We're going to get this Propagator Drone down. Unless we draw a spell, we can activate the Propagator Drone, which is another idiot that we can sacrifice.
That is a good point.
So, like, while this Hungertide Rises doesn't look like it's going to do anything, it does have the potential to have text at least. That said, opponent is empty-handed and about to draw extra cards. They don't have to worry about removal because they have the Sylvan Safekeeper in play with an excess of lands. Like, this game is just not looking good for me, kind of no matter what.
Huh.
You didn't realize it evolve when it comes into play?
Yeah, it just never occurred to me.
Yeah, and that's part of why maybe you have a slight misevaluation of the card.
Yeah,
perhaps.
maybe.
Like, all of your tokens. So yeah, like this turn we got to double spell. We got to turn our board into a bunch of 3/3s, which now means that Fetid Gargantua is scary more because it's going to draw 2 cards than because it's a 6/6.
Right.
Right? Like, I will
and your
gladly...
opponent's at 32, you don't care about them?
I don't care about their life. Yeah. Not right now. Like, I need to take over this board before I care about their life.
Well, and knowing the other cards in your deck, like, you're eventually going to take care of... If you manage to turn the corner, you're going to take over the board with such overwhelming presence that their life total is irrelevant.
That's the hope, yes. That is certainly what we're going for with this. But yeah, like, if they attack with this Gargantua, I am perfectly content to throw 2 insects in front of it.
Yeah.
This Wither and Bloom is pretty unfortunate.
Certainly about to ruin that plan.
Yeah, now it's a 7/7. Now I have to throw the Propagator Drone in front as well if I'm going to do anything.
4 cards.
Yes. But they're down to 28.
They're down to 28.
Yeah, doing the work for me.
We're on the board.
I got them right where I want them. I think it's pretty obvious that I'm probably losing this game.
Yeah, and like if you try to throw any removal at that stupid thing, the Safekeeper is going to keep it safe.
They choose not to attack here, which I think is a mistake from our opponent.
I do too.
What this lets me do is put the Hungertide Rises trigger on the stack, and then I get the choice, because I know I drew a land for turn, which is a brick, to just activate Propagator Drone twice. and be able to go find something. And, my deck might not be amazing, but if they're going to let me get this free value,
take it.
I'm going to take it, exactly. Yeah. So, activate once, activate twice, and then sacrifice. I don't recall if I sacrificed 2 or 3 of the creatures here. But we can take a look at our deck list here and kind of see what our options are. The Fleshraker is really one of the only things that I can think of that are super worth getting. There's an argument to be made for the Death-Touching Nightshade Dryad.
Sure. Is there an argument for just going straight for the Chrysalis?
I think that argument would be more sound if 2 of the tokens that I have to sacrifice weren't already 3/3s.
Sure.
So I think I go for 3 here. Nope, just 2. Okay, so we're just probably getting the Dryad, I think.
I mean, putting a Death Toucher on the board against a non-trampling...
Also noteworthy is I could just go get my Springheart Nantuku and play my 2 lands for turn. Because I do have this landscape in my hand that I could play.
You do.
And that is relevant. That said, none of that beats a 7/7.
No.
And this idiot Nightshade Dryad, while not amazing, did just turn my turn of literal nothing into put a Death Touch creature into play.
Yeah, which until and then right we died now this happens.
Right, and then we just die anyway, so all of that thought process and all of that decision making led to literal nothing, and it is what it is.
No, but I like that line because the Dryad means you turn the corner if you manage to live, because the previous turn they should have attacked, because the only options you have are
throw away my whole board.
Go to 2 or throw away your whole board, and then none of that can happen.
Correct. Yeah, 100% that.
And I think not attacking there was a mistake on your opponent's part, even though it didn't end up mattering.
Correct. Yeah, that is my assumption as well. And let's remember also that I did punt 2 of my land drops.
You did.
And that game maybe plays out differently if I'm closer to on curve with more of my plays. Which is not to say that I would have won the game. There's a lot of things that change about how it plays out. But it's important to note when you yourself make a mistake.
Yes.
And acknowledge that you are at least part of the reason that you lose a game, if not the whole reason.
Yeah. Most experienced Magic players I've had conversations with will, in fact, outright state that you are the entire reason.
Yeah. It's really easy to say, oh, I flooded, I had 8 lands in play and 2
RNG
more in hand. Yeah, it's real easy to say all of that, but I don't feel like that's true, given the circumstance of how the game played out.
Yeah. There was always some decision somewhere in the game that if you had made a better decision, the game turns out differently.
Correct. Yeah. We were pretty happy to draw another land if we drew a land that turn, so we didn't crack the fetch right away. We have the choice.
There you go.
Well, we have the Hungertide Rises that we could get down this turn.
Sure.
So it's we're just debating whether we want to play the landscape so we can play the Fleshraker.
I definitely like getting the Fleshraker down first.
Yeah.
Because next turn, when you untap, you can play and activate the idol.
Absolutely. Or I can play the Wumpus Aberration, which is the intent here. The thing is, though, is opponent hasn't done anything yet, right? They played their 2-drop, which is fine, but they've shown that they're playing black, which means I do have to at least understand that Wither and Bloom is a real card.
Yes.
And throwing my Fleshraker down on turn 2 or turn 3 just to have it get Wither and Bloomed is not ideal.
Right.
That said, opponent chooses to attack here, which is perfectly reasonable. They give their creature menace. They advance their board a little bit.
They gain some life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it does mean that they're not committing more to the board, so we get to get our Wumpus down, trigger the Fleshraker, deal 2 damage, attack for 2, and basically undo the life gain that they had, while also putting a giant 6/6 into play.
And now if they had removal for the Fleshraker,
like
that,
yup.
they at least have to still be respecting a 6/6 right beside it.
Exactly. Yeah, and I for what it's worth, I do think it's right to get rid of the Fleshraker before it takes over the game.
Oh yeah, that thing will take over a game if you give it even a millisecond to do so.
Yeah, so I have a couple options here. We can double spell this turn, or we can just commit another piece of beef to the board.
I think it is important to attack and see what your opponent does first.
Yeah. That said, if we had cast the Petrifying Meddler, we get to lock down the vampire, get in for 6, and not have to worry about like Wither and Bloom here.
Sure.
If they had Wither and Bloom, they could have traded off the vampire for the aberration.
Yes, but going to combat with all of your mana up and a grip full of cards,
yes,
they are unlikely to do so.
Yeah, it makes it a scary proposition to try to block or to try to do something that involves a trick for you to draw combat.
Because the second you have like a Siege Smash or something, that whole line of play doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Good news for me here is the aberration having trampled naturally meant they couldn't just chump block and then sacrifice their card. So we managed to just get in that big hit for 6, and if opponent's plan there was to sacrifice their thing, okay,
yeah. You progressed your board, they reduced theirs.
Exactly.
The life gain has effectively been undone at this point.
Yeah. And again, Propagator Drone coming down and being 2 mana to put 4 power into play.
Yeah.
So, like I said, that card has kind of overperformed every time I've played it. 2 mana for 4 power good?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it has more text for reasons.
Woo! What's the joke? The 2020 green cards.
Yeah, that's the one. But yeah, so now opponent is really on the back foot. We still have this Meddler to lock down anything they play that might stabilize the board for them. They had to pay life for this Keurig, so yeah. So we get to, that's another decent draw. We don't have the double red just yet, but yeah, we just get to lock this thing down.
Yeah.
Evolve all 3 of our tokens, get in for a pile, and watch our opponent's head explode. Kaboom. Bye, Kiora.
Overrun.
Yeah. But yeah, so that that Propagator was worth 5 extra power plus its own 2/2 self.
Yeah,
that game.
Yeah.
I hope these couple games have changed your opinion of that card.
I mean, as always, like, seeing it in front of me and actually playing it are two different things.
For sure.
And I do like the Teamer Spaghetti Monsters archetype quite a bit, so I end up drafting it a lot.
Fair.
I'll probably give it a second look the next time I draft it.
Yeah. So this hand, awkward, but as I've kind of said before about this deck in particular...
fixed it.
Yeah. I really needed that 4th land.
Yeah.
As I've said about this deck is kind of a train wreck, so any hand that has all of my colors so that I can cast my spells is a hand that I kind of have to keep.
And more than the 4th land, that was also a colorless source, which you also
which is
lacked.
my 4th color, air quotes. Again, only a couple cards in the deck that care about having a colorless source.
Yeah, but those cards really care.
Yes, exactly. So we don't draw a 3-drop here, which is a little unfortunate. So, yeah, we just kind of play a land. I don't remember. Yeah, that's fine. There's no reason to attack here. I think
I'd have attacked there.
I don't want to trade off my drone, if I'm being honest.
Sure.
The Chrysalis is going to make bodies. Everything else is going to evolve those bodies. I think the only decision here is I think I should have played the Birthing Ritual here, even if I don't intend to sacrifice my drone.
Oh, just in case you show yourself a 3-drop?
Yeah, well, but not even that. Just to have it in play so I don't have to pay 2 mana for it later. Like, I'm just throwing away my mana here.
Yeah.
And I think what I was concerned about was, like, an Aether Spike or similar. Though the Hope Ender Coatl would not have done it because I would have been casting a 2-drop with 3 mana up. So just a little awkward. I think I should have played the Birthing Ritual. So yeah, we're not exactly off to a fantastic start as far as my gameplay.
Right. So, like, on the attack on the previous turn, opponent has a looter in play and some energy banked.
Yeah.
I don't hate them throwing away a looter.
That's fair, but again, like, we're going to look at this. This Chrysalis makes the things on cast.
Yes.
Which means they're in play, so now when the Writhing Chrysalis resolves, it evolves them as well.
Yeah.
And for those reasons, I really didn't want to sacrifice the drone in combat. Like, I understand...
No, it's absolutely valid.
Yeah, so we get this evolve trigger right away.
Technically speaking, your opponent didn't reveal they were on the energy deck until the next turn anyway, when they played 2 more energy cards.
Yeah. But yeah, so notably with the priority pass there, like, yeah, they have priority because of their energy guy.
Yeah.
But it also makes me think that there might be a Flare of Denial over there. Because,
Okay.
like, they took a while to think about whether or not that Writhing Chrysalis resolved. And, I mean, we've both played on Arena.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get distracted by something next to you and you're just not paying attention.
Absolutely.
And
Happens to me all the time.
Could very easily be that they just, like, didn't click the button.
Ooh, copy crook copying a Chrysalis. Feels bad.
Yeah, it's not exactly a great target for that copy crook.
Definitely not what I think opponent intended to have happen.
Yeah, they might have thought they were going to get the Eldrazi spawn there, and didn't realize that it's a cast trigger where Copy Crook has to already have been cast to choose a copy. But yeah, I'm just over here. I'm going to put more stuff into play. I make a token with this Hunger Tide Rises. I get to evolve all my tokens by casting a 2-drop. I'm just trying to be mana efficient right now. And I didn't want to play the territory color on 5.
Because you're banking further evolve triggers.
Well, not just banking further evolve triggers. In a perfect world, I draw land next turn and get to play the color and immediately trigger it.
That's also fair, yeah.
You know, I'm not, like... Attacking with my 7/5 into this board as my opponent has is just a trade for some stuff.
Right.
Which
on this particular board, it's not as relevant, but that is also a play you could have made this turn using the Eldrazi spawn. You use them to pay for the color and then play your land for turn.
Sure.
It wouldn't have been as good on this board because you're kind of going wide and putting counters on things. But that is a play that this archetype likes to do.
It's very true, very true. But yeah, our opponent is showing us a bunch of, like, small creatures. So getting our tokens to the point where they can rumble is definitely a thing that is on my mind here.
Yeah.
Aether Revolt, a absolutely terrifying card.
Yeah.
Have you, like, this card looks goofy just on the surface.
I haven't had the misfortune of playing against it yet, but I have had the misfortune of playing the last 2 years of cards just like it.
Okay.
Mechanized Production from the Brothers War.
Sure.
Absolutely blew me out every time it landed, and the only time I ever got to play it was on an empty board.
Great.
So...
Yeah. So we're making another bug here with Hunger Tide Rises.
Yeah.
And then the intent is to play the color and the land drop.
Sure. Now...
So opponent notably does have mana up here, so it is debatable whether I just want to get this color down or if I just want to see what they do.
Now, where you're looking at a bunch of evolve triggers here, do you actually go for the color first or the shapeshifter?
So notably, if I really want my things to evolve, I can do that with the shapeshifter either way, right?
Yeah.
But no, I'm just trying to get a bunch of value here.
Okay.
So we evolve 4 creatures. Like, this color suddenly was 5 mana, make a 7/5, put 4+1/+1 counters across my board. Like, yeah, like, this game looks and feels like I'm getting to do everything that my deck is capable of doing.
Yeah,
which,
and getting
again,
a land off the top, you don't want that.
I mean, the only reason we would want it is to trigger the color again, and let's be real, that's not something that we need to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, our small idiots have gotten to the point where they can rumble. Our opponent is now trading 2/2-drops with our
spawn.
Eldrazi spawn that doesn't matter at all. Given the choice here, they double blocked a 3/3, and the Charge Bug scares me more than the Chrysalis. They don't have the spawns here.
Right. The Chrysalis means nothing on their board.
Yeah, the only thing about it, and I forget this constantly, is that the Copy Crook gives Connive.
Yes, Connive is important.
Yeah, and I forget it always. For whatever reason, it just doesn't stay in my brain that that's a thing that they can do.
Yeah. I think part of it is just like Arena's corrective overlay, literally turning it into you forget it's a Copy Crook.
Yeah, I think that might be true. So yeah, opponent with some really cool stuff they can do here. Now that they have the Battle Wagon plus the Aether Revolt, they literally just tap to make 2 energy and kill my Propagator Drone.
Yeah.
Which, now, while that, I agree with that play, that thing, they have to kill that thing.
Yeah, it keeps putting too much
It's
on
done
board.
so much work already.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
they about to get pounced.
Yeah, we're about to attack for somewhere in the vicinity of 6,000. Yeah.
And making sure the auto tapper doesn't do
Tap
anything
me out of
weird.
green mana when Birthing Ritual or adapting my Brood Scale are the only other 2 things that I want to do this turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth noting, always check auto tapper.
Yes.
Especially when colorless matters, because the logic, the internal logic it uses doesn't always account for that.
Yeah.
Or accounts for it in really bizarre ways.
Yeah, I think this turn, obviously I'm not attacking with the 2/2 insect, and I don't really want to sacrifice a 3/4 in order to make a 3/3 if they block the Brood Scale. So I think we attack with everything that just doesn't die in combat here.
Seems defensible.
And just, do you want to chump block the 7/5? Okay. Take a pile of damage anyway, right? That was, 10 damage that came through, and just eat their guy. They have no cards in hand. They get to shock something with the Aether Revolt Bespoke Battle Wagon.
Yeah.
And none of that matters.
Yeah.
Right? They need a sweeper here, or they die.
And, they have to basically shock the bug, if I'm reading your board correctly, because if they shock the Brood Scale, you will just give it a counter.
Yeah, yeah, they need more than just a shock, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Fanged Flames is nice.
Yep. That is not enough to prevent you from dying, though.
Yeah, and I mean, opponent is just kind of showing the last card they drew before conceding, or letting me get my dailies. I don't remember which.
I always appreciate opponents that let me get my dailies.
Yeah, I think the problem is this thing triggers and makes me click more buttons.
Yeah. You don't want to do any of that, though.
Yeah, but I have to tell it that I have to go through all of that.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
So, but in any case, so this is what, the second win now, so 2-1 with this deck. And like I said, this deck is a bit of a train wreck. If I'm pulling out wins at all, I'm reasonably happy with this deck.
Yeah, there's a little bit of awkward archetype mixing happening here. And, for what it's worth, I think this happened because you weren't the only drafter at the table who was uncertain of what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, this was certainly early on in the format, too.
Did you have fun?
I won, so yeah, of course. You only have fun when you win, right?
Yes.
That's a very silly metric that Arena does, but it is what it is. So, on to round number 4 here. Let's see if I have a hand that has all 3 of my colors. So far, I've gotten pretty lucky.
This has all 4 of them.
Yup. Sand is everything we ever wanted. So yeah, this feels like pretty easy. Turn 2, Malevolent Rumble, into turn 3, Glaring Fleshraker. Turn 4, Kicked Void Pouncer. Seems pretty okay.
I'd be feeling pretty good about this one.
I don't want to concede. I don't know what I was looking for there. Alright. So, these are the same land. I think I was just checking to see which colors they were, to see which one I was going to sacrifice for red mana. And due to drawing a land, I definitely want to do that sooner rather than later. Let's just get the red mana, thin my deck of a land real quick.
I got to give props to Wizards R&D president, Aaron Forsyth, he was the person who put cycling on the lands and made the cost the colors. And he didn't do it for any gameplay purpose, just so that the card was easier to read at a glance.
Perfect.
So that you knew what to fetch for.
Yup. Let's go.
And, like, that kind of psychology in gameplay is the kind of stuff I love.
So we have a choice here between Propagator Drone and Breaker of Creation. And being that it's turn 2, it's a little daunting to try to take the giant Breaker.
Yeah.
When we could have the...
Although you're going to get there a lot quicker.
Well, so I think part of the issue here, I do take the Breaker, but a lot of the reason that we do that is our next couple turns are already planned out, right? Mm-hmm. We just have a curve.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really want to necessarily mess with the curve. And even though Propagator is a good card, and we're very happy to have it, we don't really want to throw away the best top end our deck has to offer on turn 2 when we already have turns 3, 4, and potentially 5 figured out.
Right.
Is kind of the big deal.
Propagator would, by virtue of existing, throw you off your own curve.
Yes. Yeah, that said, it would not be a bad card. Like, if we had it here, you know, we get to do that into the Flesh Raker, make 2 bodies.
Mm-hmm.
But then we don't really have anything to do with the mana once we have all of that mana.
Right. And, yeah, okay.
Opponent immediately
is
respecting
that card.
Absolutely. To be fair, they're also able to get in a, nice chunky hit for 3.
Yeah.
Like, the Expanding Ooze, while not like the scariest card in the set by any means, certainly allows a relatively quick clock.
Yeah, it does.
So I think I'm actually double checking my lands for a change.
We're learning.
Yeah, getting better as we go. So the Skoa is an interesting draw here. So my intent originally was to kick the Void Bouncer.
Okay.
And just have the 5/3 getting in. Drawing the Skoa means that if I do that, I'm a turn further behind being able to cast the Skoa.
Yes.
And that's a little awkward. So my opponent makes this play where they put a counter on the dog.
That lines up very well against
what I'm about to do, yes. Yeah, so basically what happens here is I take this hit for 3, which, doesn't feel great, but it's fine.
Yeah.
But now we get to cast the Skoa. Kill the 3/3 before it can put any more counters on anything, and then have the Skoa to still trade with the dog. And the reason that we need to do it that way is because if we shoot down the dog, then they can adapt the Ooze, making it a 4/4.
Right.
And then it can put a counter on itself when it attacks, and then they have a 5/5 attacking into my 4/4 Skoa.
Yeah.
So we make exactly this play, and now our 6-drop is trading with 2 of their cards, 2 of their creatures. Which, it's trading with a 2-drop and a 3-drop, so it's still technically mana negative.
Right.
But at the same time, it's,
Oh, an opponent has decided that is enough.
Apparently. I don't think there was anything particularly scary about what happened there, but I'm guessing opponent just drew, like, all of their 4-drops or similar and was
that or they
stuck
were
on 3 lands.
Extremely heavily planning around that Ooze.
Maybe? That seems...
I don't know. Every once in a while you get one of those scoops like weird W, but we take those.
Yeah. No, we certainly take it. I believe that was win number 4 too, so that one that's the one that we're looking for. The 4th win is the one that matters. So this hand has all 3 colors. Is a little awkward. Breaker of Creation in the opener is kind of a mulligan already.
You're on the draw?
Yeah.
I'd probably keep this.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about it. We have both of our top end cards in Breaker and Skoa. Those are literally the only 2 cards in our deck that cost more than 5.
Yeah, so you're not worried about, a blank draw later.
True enough, I guess. But yeah, we're having to burn at least 1 fetch land before we get to play this Nantuku. I do think I need to play a landscape first so that I can crack it on 1 here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was just deciding which one I wanted to get. We need a green source. Priority 1 is a green source. I think all of the landscapes in our deck find green. I think I cut the only one that found red only.
Yes. That is correct.
And again, with Nentuku in the deck, it's possible that I should have kept that one as well.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, I think I would have as well.
Okay, so this is actually a very good draw for us. Being able to find something that we can do on turn 2 that digs us a little bit deeper. Because I don't really want to play the Void Pouncer on 2, though I will if I have to.
Yeah.
I certainly don't want to play the Nentuku on 2, and ideally I want to put it on something.
Right, so that way you don't just get 1-for-1 on
Exactly. So we don't have a blue source in play, so the card that's exiled with the amulet is stuck sitting there waiting for a little while.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We do have the fetch land that can find a blue source.
Like I said earlier, the amulet notably has a weird time limit, which is until you exile another card with it.
Yeah. So opponent has 3 mana up. Hopeender Coatl exists. Aether Spike exists. I don't really, need to do anything.
Yeah.
And there's the Coatl.
Yeah.
So, like, we could have cast our Void Pouncer, and it couldn't have been hit by the Coatl. But, like, Void Pouncer doesn't do anything.
Right.
Like, is a 3/1, I guess.
Yeah. Like,
generally speaking, in my experience, being a 3/1 is not necessarily what you want to do into open mana from the red-blue deck.
Yeah, generally not. However, much like any given bear, any given blade.
So, Blade of the Sixth Pride? Yeah.
From Future Sight.
Yep. So, we don't really have anything that lines up particularly well here.
No.
If we play the Nentuku, we can't do anything else. I mean, I guess we could play Nentuku and Void Pouncer, but that sounds terrible to me. So here, I have no, like, real good plays. What I'm looking to do is use the Impulse Growth Spiral, that
Planar Genesis.
Planar Genesis, thank you. The name is cut off. I figure out how to fix that in future videos. Sorry for the...
Oh, did you figure out what that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just the way I had OBS lined up.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it is fixed in the future, unfortunately. Not yet, because I'm new to all this and learning.
You're doing fine.
I'm doing something.
I didn't necessarily hate the idea of scouting with the Planar Genesis that turn.
Oh, just maybe I find a 2-drop?
Yeah, maybe you find something relevant to do.
That's possible. Good job, Amulet.
Hey, look,
doing
a
that
2-drop.
thing where it kicks. Yeah, but I didn't have any more green mana. So,
No, you didn't.
honestly, I think I kind of just want the land. Yeah, I just want the land. Like, I have a 5-drop in my hand, I have a 6-drop in my hand, I just kind of want the land.
So, part of me is like, you haven't pressured your opponent at all in this game. I kind of wanted the Wumpus there, just because...
I don't have a colorless source.
Yeah.
I'm not playing the Wumpus with no colorless source. I'm not doing it. I decline.
Fair.
Notably, they happened to play an artifact, so we got to double spell. We just used our Shatter as a Shatter. It's not exciting, but it does alleviate a little bit of pressure.
Right, and that stupid bug can put a lot of it on.
Yeah, if the bug attacks with the Coatl, I'm just taking 4. Like, nothing I can do about that, so... Like I said, not exciting by any means, but it is what it is. Notably, any untapped land here, which I'm pretty sure is all of them, lets me Skoa plus trigger the color.
Yeah.
All of that is good. Alternatively, I have the option, so we're going to keep this color on top. We kind of need this thing. Opponent is applying pressure, but not so much so that we can't come back from anything. But yeah, we are certainly hoping to find a land here. And I think I'm going to 9 here. If they have spells over the next couple turns, that is just a quick clock.
Yes.
So I'm deciding if I have enough time to get this color back.
It is also worth noting they have 7 energy banked, and theoretically that is relevant somehow.
Yeah. If nothing else, the Cyclops can go face.
Yeah.
Like, that card says any target on it.
Yeah.
So Propagator Drone here, not exciting, but better than nothing. And I think, I just need bodies here.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, the idol doesn't actually do anything here.
Right. So the downside to this is both of these creatures die to the Cyclops. So if I, like, let's say they play random spell and I block with the Void Pouncer,
Yeah.
and they trade, they then get to just shoot down my Propagator Drone anyway.
Yes.
So this isn't great. We're
Definitely not the most secure play I've ever seen.
but it's what we have access to.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, we drew a land that turn. We SCOA Ember Mage down the Superconductor. They shoot me for 2, and they have a 2/2 in play, and that's it.
Yeah.
We don't live in that world.
No.
This is not that timeline.
No. We live in a timeline that is very much worse for your game here.
Yeah. They have 1,000,000 energy here, so they can just tap my thing if they want to. They choose to draw a card, which is also perfectly valid. Kind of no wrong way to
And you're looking at a
Skin this
pretty
one,
big
huh?
swing next turn.
presumably, yeah. They decide that they don't want to trade off their Cyclops here, which I think I'm thankful for at the
Yeah.
end of the day. If they have the Galvanic Discharge, then I probably just kind of lose on the spot, though, because I'm going to play this Territorial Color, and if they have a Discharge for 1 mana that they have up, they just get to clear my entire turn.
Yeah,
Like, they
do.
just time walk me here.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't have any other choices, realistically. Like, I'm casting my Idiot, and it either is or isn't in play.
Please do something about the spaghetti monsters.
Right. I have no good attacks here, because if I attack with anything, they can trade their Cyclops for 2 of my things. But the color does have reach. So, like, we are in a position where we can chump block the Battle Wagon if we want to, and eat a creature with the color.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we'll see. And then we get Suppression Raid
happens.
and die.
Yeah. Yeah, Suppression Ray is going to do that.
Yeah. So, pay 4 energy. This thing's body. Attack for 75 or however much this is. More than what I have.
Yes. Kaboom.
Yeah. So, GG's opponent. You got me. My draw lined up a little awkward. There were a couple turns where if we hit a land on that turn, then we're in a pretty okay spot. We just kind of had to play a turn off almost every turn.
Yeah, and it's worth noting, we've commentated twice about a point where you're just about to turn the corner and then get blown out by a single card.
Yeah.
And both times, it was one of the bread and butter uncommons.
Yeah.
Which says a lot about what's actually going on in this format.
Yeah.
We're
I
not...
kept this hand. Why did I keep this hand? I have an amulet to dig for lands.
Yeah. I think you're also on the draw.
Yeah. All right. I don't like this hand. I think present me would mulligan this hand.
Damn it, past you.
Yeah, stupid past me. I'm even looking at my land count to see what my odds are. Like, I don't think I should have kept this hand. Let's see if it pays off for him.
But yeah, being blown out by an uncommon is just like,
Yeah.
okay, you got there, your
Yeah.
plan worked. It's not like top deck a mythic, none of this game mattered.
Sure. Yeah, more cards I can't cast. Doing good so far.
I mean,
Like, the thing is the amulet only digs me 1 extra card deeper, right? Like, I don't have any other energy.
and it's an extra mountain.
Yeah, it's perfect. Everything we ever wanted.
Now we can't draw more mountains, though.
We're just gonna get run over by Boros here because we kept a sketchy hand.
I mean, that's kind of what Boros exists to do, right? Punish
Yeah, but-
players who keep hands they shouldn't.
Yeah, but, like, couldn't I just be good?
You could be Potente, yes.
I'm very sad it passed me. Now I'm gonna play this land because I have to get a different color. Like, I have to. There's no world where it's correct to play the mountain there. So at least this gives me Writhing Chrysalis on turn 4, and we hope for the best. Like, that's not the worst place I've ever been.
No.
Writhing Chrysalis on 4 and
No.
hope for the best. Eh.
Chrysalis will usually get it done. But
It certainly tries.
there's certainly a lot your opponent's capable of doing here to make sure that doesn't quite work out the way you want.
True. But the good news is they're Jeskai instead of Burrows, which means they're a worse deck. That said, I'm taking a beating here.
Yeah, you are.
And I say that lightheartedly. I've drafted Jeskai several times. I've also had worse results with it than I have with Boros. So,
Yeah.
maybe that's anecdotal, but I think that the deck is just better as a 2-color aggressive deck.
Like I said in another video, this format really like shows off what happens when you are disciplined and really pare down your picks into a color pair.
Sure.
You just get this streamlined machine versus a greed pile.
Hey, that Serum Visionary?
Yeah.
That thing does not kill Writhing Chrysalis.
No, doesn't even come close.
That means my opponent has no good attacks here.
Yeah.
And suddenly I feel better.
Unless they're bad at math and still swing with the Cyclops.
I guess. I don't really want to sacrifice my spawns if I don't have to here. But I guess, yeah, that's fine. Notably, if they do that, if they Goblin onto the Cyclops and make it 3 power, then they do get to hit for 6 with the Cyclops. Like, when I inevitably block it, right? I think the play from my end, though, is to just sacrifice one of the tokens.
Sure, yeah.
But, in any case...
You made it to 5 mana and you're not dead.
Yeah, and
That
my
means a
opponent
lot.
didn't attack on the previous turn, so...
So now you're figuring out whether to drop the 7/5 or double spell.
Yeah, so the other thing, though, and I think I realized it right after I did it, I think what I should have done here is played the color sacrificing one of the spawn, which grows the Writhing Chrysalis, and then also lets
Then
me
you
hit
get
my
the
land
land
drop for
drop.
turn and see
Yeah.
what we find. You know, maybe we get lucky and draw a card.
Because, yeah, having the extra 0/1, not necessarily all that relevant at the moment.
Right. Now, that said, having the extra 0/1 just means that I make sure I can block everything.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not irrelevant,
Right.
but yeah, it's not the biggest deal. I
Opponent-
think I'd rather either know the top card of my library or be a card deeper than have a 0/1.
Sure.
So in hindsight, I think, I should have sacrificed one of the tokens to the color. Notably, I am drawing to Breaker on the following turn. Like, if Breaker is on top of my library right now,
Yeah.
we can just cast it.
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
Ooh,
that
Emissary
is...
Soulfire.
Yeah.
It's one of the cooler designs in the set.
It is. Also putting it on the Cyclops, or getting in with the Cyclops right now. Like, if you just put 3, well, I guess you can only do 2 and still sacrifice the Cyclops.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you just put a couple counters around here and then get in with the Cyclops, I don't have good blocks per se. I'm just
Right.
kind of throwing away a spawn to make sure I don't take a beating.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy if they keep doing this, because now they don't have the energy to pay.
Interesting. They put a counter on the Cyclops.
Yeah. I
don't think I would have done that.
I'm a little miffed by where all these counters went. I think right
That's
here...
a weird attack.
I agree. Yeah. I'm not in love with this attack. Anyway, we're blocking with the 0/1.
Yeah.
And then I'm making a mana so that I can get a counter.
Yeah.
The end.
Uh-huh.
That's it. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. The Visionary and the Emissary should have gotten the counters, and then everything just pile onto the Cyclops.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. So we have a land in hand, and we get to put this Nantuko on our 7/5.
That's spicy.
Because putting it on the Chrysalis, it's a cast trigger for the Chrysalis.
Yeah, we don't
whereas
care about that.
the color, not only do I get the value here from the color itself, but we also get to make a second color. So now we're sitting here with an 8/6, a 7/5, and we did in fact find the Breaker of Creation, though now we are a colorless short of being able to cast it.
I really want there to be a way to be a 309 after that.
Yep. I've got a 3, an O, and a 1 that I got covered for you, but
Yeah. Jenny's number is almost there.
if they make more energy, put another exalted counter somewhere and then attack with the the Emissary, then it'll have 9 toughness.
Perfect. We got there.
Anyway, I don't think that's what happens.
No. There's no world in which my dumb joke pans out.
But you tried real hard.
I did. But hey, 2 colors is sweet.
Yeah, well, we haven't been punished by drawing our blue cards here.
Right.
Because our hand is way worse if it has 2 blue cards. It's already not great.
Yeah.
But, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, you got it. They're not spending energy on that. Now they're not attacking, I don't think.
No.
Because I will trade off this token 7/5 all day, every day, until the end of time.
And,
All right. I'm still going to trade off this token 7/5, I think. Like,
yeah.
I would rather just be clearing their board, right? I can make one of these every time I draw a land, and I have a Malevolent Rumble to draw a land.
Yeah, and they lose their source of haste.
Yes, which is kind of scary,
Yeah.
depending on what they do. If they ever draw a fly, like, well, I guess the colors block flyers, so never mind. But
So does the Chrysalis.
true. Man, I forget that card has reach sometimes.
You're
and then I
looking
look
at
at
the
it.
ethereal
I
bows.
understand. I mean, I forget, like, in the moment. I've never not blocked or attacked into it, for what it's worth.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so the decision here was whether or not we just wanted to chump block again like we did last time.
Or actually eat it.
Yeah, or actually just eat it. And in this case, we're going to go for the trick and see if we get just kill your thing.
I actually really like it when the red pump spells are formatted in a way that they're useful on defense.
Yes. Yeah. So now opponent has to
They have to use an additional resource to make the play work.
to get rid of this
Yeah.
thing instead of just being able to attack cleanly into it.
And you don't hate your opponent being down a Skoa.
We also draw a fetch land here, which is wild for me.
Yes.
So we get to make a color. I will keep that fetch land on top of my deck, actually.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
will it be relevant?
I mean,
Oh, you're about to Malevolent Rumble. Okay.
yeah, so, like, I have the choice here.
Because you get to put the fetch in your hand.
Yeah, I kind of just want to draw it next turn, is what's actually true. So here we go. We get to play this drone. If our opponent... If we want to, we can sacrifice the spawn that we have to make another spawn,
Okay.
which triggers the Chrysalis. So we get to free grow the Chrysalis functionally, right? Our board
Sure.
is functionally the same, and drawing a fetch land again next turn means we get more triggers, and our triggers, remember, are just going to keep getting like almost exponential because of multiple colors.
Right.
So I really do want that extra fetch land. It just amounts to 3 or more triggers.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
There.
opponent realizing that they like have to do something here.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it seems like those 2 cards in hand aren't capable of doing a whole lot.
Yeah, so this is attack with a thing that theoretically trades, beats my 7/5 in combat, which means we just jump.
Yeah. This is the third chump attack in a row?
Something like that. One of them wound up not being a chump, right? It traded with a 7/5. Yeah, but this makes this an 8/8, so we don't have a block with our token. That's
Sure.
fine. We
We're gonna
block with the 1/2.
We're going to cycle it anyway.
Exactly. We block with the 1/2. We cycle the 1/2.
Now we're not doing that.
Now we have to block with the 7/5,
Yeah.
unfortunately. That said, we do have an endless string of 7/5s with reach,
Yes, you sure do.
so we can do this every turn for the foreseeable future, at least.
Even twice next turn.
Yeah. So, you know, we're kind of assessing the situation. It might also just be time for the Writhing Chrysalis to bite it. I don't remember what I do here, but I would not be surprised if I just let the Writhing Chrysalis die here. Or this. Just double block and
go
get
for the
rid
double
of...
block. You're
Yeah.
either going to get the Skoa or the card in their hand.
Yeah,
And-
I also don't really believe that they have anything relevant in their hand, and if they...
No.
Like, if they could have been clearing my board, I wouldn't have an 8/6 with an Entuku on it.
Right. Opponent's been pretty clear that the card in their hand is not a relevant thing.
Yeah. Notably, I didn't just cycle the Eldrazi spawn
Yeah.
here, and I don't know if I think I should have, if I'm being honest.
Well,
But it's almost irrelevant
right now you're weighing the choice.
of multiple 7/5s
Yeah,
or breaker.
or breaker. So, like,
That's a Wumpus. We like that.
Wumpus is good.
Notably, and I didn't think about this before I did this, I should crack a fetch land here. I'm not cracking a fetch land here,
Okay.
but I should. Am I? Did I figure it out? Nope. All right, so I should crack a fetch land here, okay? What that does is it triggers the Springleaf, the color, and the color again, which gives me the information as to whether I want to make a third 7/5, or if I want to play the Wumpus. The reason that I should do this, and this evolves the 7/5, it's a creature token. So the 6/6 is like one of the only things in the deck that makes that thing even bigger.
Right. Does the
now,
breaker?
What's
No,
that?
No, because the breaker has 8 power,
Yeah. So it would
okay.
evolve the 7/5,
but not the 8.
but not the 8/6. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely. Maybe I should have cracked one of the fetch lands and then just played the Void Pouncer instead of the Wumpus. A second Wing It is. They keep sending things to the air, and I don't love it.
So, like, the second Wing It was threatening.
Yeah, again, like the fact that they haven't been able to deal with this Springheart Nantuku color is. I'm winning this game solely on the back of that fact.
Yes. And you also have a game 13 in your hand.
Yeah, also true. So yeah, we just took that hit.
Yeah.
We didn't want to jump. If we're gonna block, we'd rather trade. Also, I think they were mistaken to put the counters, 2 of the exalted counters. Is it 2, or is that a flying counter and an exalted counter?
It's a flying and an exalted.
Okay, never mind.
It's the Serum Visionary that has 2 exalted counters.
Weird that it's represented with a 2 both times. Not in love with that, but it is what it is.
It's not often something that gets multiple keyword counters.
Yeah, except in this set where there's a single card that puts 2 different keyword counters on the same thing. The Fangs. It puts a Death Touch and a Reach counter.
Yeah. The trick that untaps the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So opponent is trying to figure out how much.
Energy to
Like,
pay
I can
into
just
this.
pay for this thing, though. Also, they misclicked and didn't pay any energy.
Yeah.
Or
They figured out it wasn't going to work and saved it.
Yeah, maybe they were just. So at this point in the game, it's very unlikely that they're going to Aether Spike much of anything. They know about this breaker, but I've obviously been sitting here just kind of holding it for a while.
Yeah.
This is a large attack,
This is a very large attack.
and we still get to crack one of our fetch lands in order to make another color
Yeah.
here. Which, notably, we can do at instant speed. So even if opponent does double block.
They're still going to have another big dummy to deal with.
Yeah, they also notably have to block something. Like, there is no world where they can no block here to represent lethal, which means I'm getting rid of at least 1 exalted counter.
Yeah, and getting rid of those exalted counters is super important. Or
Yeah.
we can just watch their head explode.
Yeah, I think opponent just figured out that, like, they're not going to win with their 1/4 in the air.
Yeah.
They're just not going to get through the string of colors.
Yeah.
Which, that game right there is a testament and a showcase to why the Springheart Nantuku is such a valuable pick, right? That was our
Yes.
pack 1, pick 1, and it won the game,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, we had to put it on a dumb creature, but
That's what it's for.
without the Nantuku, we don't win that game.
Right.
We die 7 ways from Sunday. They wing it twice, and we just cry in our shoes. And yeah, it's bad. This hand, I better mulligan this.
Yeah.
Hey, past me,
I'm not keeping this hand.
mulligan this hand. Don't do it. Don't do it. You can't cast anything. Okay. Whew, I scared me.
I don't know if there is a hand that exists in the game of Magic where I would be like, screw it, we ball. Or like exactly the opposite of that. where you would keep it and I wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, you keep much greedier hands than I do on average.
So if I'm like, I wouldn't keep that hand, and you do, I'm going to be like, what didn't I see?
Yeah, that's fair. And that's going to happen sometimes. So this hand, notably, not great, but again, we happen to get lucky. We drew our blue source, so we have all of our colors. We have this birthing ritual just kind of hanging out, and we get to try to Writhing Chrysalis and see what happens.
Notably, Writhing Chrysalis has to fight a dog.
Yeah. Turn 2 Felia on the play from our opponent. That's not easy.
No, that's... As far as plays in this format go, that's one of the more powerful ones you can make.
Yeah, it's real good. So I'm looking at this artifact over here being like, can I smash this thing? And the answer is technically yes. I certainly, that is a legal play that I'm allowed to make.
It sure is. It will even have the desired effect.
No, it won't.
Until it doesn't.
Yeah. Anyway, this Felia is just getting bigger.
Yup.
That's a 4/4.
She's a very good girl.
Felia just vibing. We're going to try to beat this dumb rare with our dumb common. And we're going to see how that goes. Notably, we get to look at 7 cards of our library and decide if we want a 6/6 instead of a thing that lets our opponent put a creature into play for free.
Hey, none of it does anything.
Oh, it is a cast trigger. So I could get a 6/6. Anyway, I'm going to keep this Writhing Chrysalis.
The advantages of being an Eldrazi, apparently.
They're both Eldrazi.
Well, I mean, as opposed to Hunted Wumpus, which was an ETB.
True. That would actually be kind of funny. Hunted Wumpus, or I'm sorry, the Eldrazi Wumpus. If it was templated like Hunted Wumpus, and your opponent just puts their own into play, and then you put yours into play, and they put their
Wumpuses back and forth. It's just Wumpuses the whole way down.
Everybody's hand is Wumpuses. That would be like a Momir format on Arena that they would try sometime.
I am a noted fan of the Flottery.
So they have a shield counter, notably here,
Yeah.
which makes blocking this Felia super awkward.
Yeah, it does.
So what we do get to do here is just chump the Felia, keep our life total reasonable, eat the 2/2. Yes, it comes back with Persist, we know. But it saves us the most life points here, and it's not like the flyer inherently matters since, one, we have the Writhing Chrysalis. And 2, we have this Siege Smash that we can just kill it if we want to.
Right.
That said, the Proud Pack Rhino proliferating here gets a second shield counter and an extra +1/+1 counter on the Felia.
That Felia ain't going anywhere.
No, I am not killing that Felia anytime soon. In my humble opinion, I think they should have proliferated the counter on the Gargoyle as well, just so they can show more love. But they chose not to do that. Anyway, I'm going to play a 0/12 and see what happens.
Seems reasonable. Like, I don't actually hate that play. It's not like any of the other plays are doing anything productive.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I think I'm just weighing my options here. I only have the 1 red source, so I can't Cyclops plus blow up the Gargoyle for good.
Right.
Because the Felia can just flicker the Gargoyle, which is a little obnoxious. Again, not the biggest deal in the world, but it's not good for me either. I really need to stop this Felia from trying to kill me. I was taking a look at the deck list just to see what kinds of things I had the potential to Birthing Ritual into.
Yeah.
And I decided to play the moon drop here. Which
blanked.
Yeah, it's fine.
Which, honestly, that's one of the good parts of Birthing Ritual is that you get to look first.
Do it. Exactly. So now we can either use the energy with this Cyclops when it inevitably dies at some point, or we can use it to try to dig a little deeper with the amulet.
Man, Thalia and a pack rhino.
Yeah, the Felly is not going anywhere, like we said. So we're just gonna eat one of these things. We're gonna eat this thing for good. We're gonna chump block this thing again.
Yeah.
So notably, our Writhing Chrysalis has saved us 10, 12, 13 points of damage by itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's an okay thing for a common
Yeah,
to do.
totally good for a common. Not a problem at all. Anyway, this thing gets to proliferate those counters onto the Transmogrant as well, which is why our opponent main phased it instead of waiting.
Right.
Which makes sense to me. Looking at opponent's board, I have no faith that this Cyclops trigger is going to kill anything relevant.
Yeah, no.
So we're just going to use this energy and see what we find.
I would totally take an additional card draw there.
Yeah, over deal 2 damage to something.
Yeah.
Yeah, So. Crack this, we get the shuffle. There are still some good hits in our deck. We know that we bottomed the Skoa earlier, and drawing that would get rid of this fucking Rhino.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is pretty important. So now I think we're just trying to be mana efficient. We're going to play this Brood Scale. We get to shoot our opponent for 1. Not relevant, but whatever. And then, like I said, we need something that can deal with this Felia. And, like, a 0-12 ain't perfect, but it sure blocks it for the next couple turns.
So, is there a world where you try to scare your opponent into chumping here?
I mean, they don't. There's no way, right?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But they might think there's a free block on the 2/2.
Oh, sure. I mean, they know it has prowess. Like, literally anything causes this trade. They just take this damage 100 times. Like, the attack's probably correct. Like, my plan here is to get this Corrupted Shapeshifter into play.
Right.
But yes, if they, for any reason, decided to block, which, again, there's no world that they do, then we can Siege Smash the Transmogrant, which grows...
Okay. Thought about it for a sec.
Yeah, I don't know why we thought about it. Yeah, okay.
All right.
All right, so if we wind up Siege Smashing there, like if our opponent blocks, even though they shouldn't, if they do...
Just ended the turn there.
Yeah.
Didn't play the 0-12.
So I think my thought process here, I would love for one of these 5-drops to come into play, but oh well. I think my thought process here was I can make a chump blocker for the Felia and kill the 4/4 Transmogrant this turn.
Sacrificing the Chrysalis to tap down the Felia is a thing you can do.
Okay, yes. Or get the color. Yeah. Okay, I'm here for this.
But yeah, putting a stun
it's a cast trigger. The stun counter, guys. It's a cast trigger.
Right. Eldrazi. Yep.
Yeah. So now we upgraded our Chrysalis from being a 4/5 to being a 7/5. So we literally just got +3 power on our Chrysalis.
Yeah.
We don't have any other spawn. We can get one more. So, notably, we have 3 shield counters on the Felia, so we're still not doing anything about that.
Nope.
But what we get to do here is adapt the Brood Scale to chump block.
And I suppose this does prevent them from attacking with the 4/4.
It does.
So...
Yeah. So we get to chump block here. Yup. This is all fine. This all happens. The
Are we
Rhino
still
comes
saving
back
the
into
Siege
play.
Smash for the Transmogrant?
Yeah, we're going to kill the Transmogrant. We're just waiting for after the proliferate.
Okay.
Yeah. 3rd Transmogrant, sure. You have a Rhino, sure. Proliferate your stuff, sure. Notably, we're running out of turns for our Shapeshifter to actually be able to block this Felia.
Yeah.
Which is wild sentence. Kill the Transmogrant. They can't even bring it back this turn. Because they...
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have enough black sources.
Yeah, they only had the 1 black source.
All of this, and they've been that low on mana.
Okay.
Huh?
So here we go. This is an exciting hit off this color. The color just found us a Flesh Raker, which finds us chump blockers for days, right?
Yes, and also you have put a non-zero amount of damage on their life total. It
They
it
have
is
to at
also
least
pressure.
a little bit respect that I'm attacking here.
Yes.
Like they can't just take this every turn. Now what they can do is chump block with these transmogrants. And they do. They
Yeah.
chump block with a transmogrant. And we go from here. So
Yeah.
we get to make another idiot. We get to make a 0/12.
Uh-huh.
Notably, it's reasonable that I make a 3/3 here, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Further pressures their life total.
Yeah. So now we get to look around and see what we find. So there's the SCOA. And if I get the SCOA, I have to sacrifice the 7/5, but they have an army of transmogrants that can just keep blocking that thing.
Okay, there's no way to do it. Wait. No, it has to be exact. Okay.
Yeah. And honestly,
I was like, there's the Springheart Nantuko. You can make a shapeshifter every turn.
no. I can make a bug sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it's worth trading off the 7/5 for a SCOA here to get rid of the Rhino.
I agree. That Rhino needed to go several turns ago.
Yeah, well, to be fair, this is the third time we found the SCOA with the birthing ritual.
Yeah.
It's just the first time we had access to it.
Right.
So this birthing ritual, as much of a meme pick as it was, is kind of proving it's worth this game in particular.
Yeah, like, it's a card that's gonna do some stuff.
Yeah.
And you needed a filler card anyway. Why not one that lets you look 7 cards deeper in your deck?
Sure. And, my curve, while not spectacular, does go up the chain from 2 to 5 pretty well, or 2 to 6, I should say. The breaker obviously being lost somewhere on the top end, but everything else we can chain
all those
through.
7 drops you passed.
All those 7 drops. Shucks. Anyway, opponent starting to get overwhelmed despite having a turn 2 Felia that is a 10/10 with 4 shield counters.
Yeah.
Like, they are not very far away from just being dead.
I think Felia wants to reenact that scene from Lady and the Tramp.
Sure.
Just eat some spaghetti.
So, Wumpus here, notably worth 2 damage.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, 2 damage and another chump blocker. Like,
yes, that's true.
the fact that it makes another 0/1 is so important to you right now.
It really is. Shoot you, shoot you. I don't think I have particularly good attacks here. We only have 4 creatures with power. They have 3 blockers. Felia is one of them. So honestly, we're just kind of riding out.
No, the
That's
breaker.
a propagator drone. I want that propagator drone.
You can't have that propagator drone. You don't have any 1-drops? That's what I was reading
Yeah,
last turn
yeah.
to get the Nantuko.
That is a shame.
Oh, we have decided a 4-drop is on the menu.
Oh, no. Okay.
Wait, what happened?
Apparently that works just fine. I sacrificed the Cyclops and got the propagator drone. Is Arena wrong?
I'm going to look it up now.
Okay. Like, I read it a bunch of times before I clicked on buttons, right? So,
Yeah.
in any case, this propagator drone being able to spit out more idiots, which are going to trigger the Flesh Raker, which are going to end this game. So this is...
If you do, you may put a creature card with mana value X or less
Yeah.
from among the cards.
or less.
Yep.
So we sacrificed our 3-drop to get a 2-drop because the Cyclops is literally in the deck to be filler. We
Yeah.
talked about it.
Yeah, it's not doing anything here.
Right. Meanwhile, opponent now realizing...
But here's this colorless thing that hits you for 1 more.
Uh-huh.
And now we'll generate things to hit you more.
And I do have 8 mana. Like, I
Yeah.
can just do this twice a turn until this game ends.
Yes.
So, yeah. Like, Birthing Ritual fully turning this game around in the same way that the Nantuko did the previous game. Like
Now,
this,
not to speak it into existence, but if your opponent had a wing it here,
Yep. Yep. That's a true statement.
if we put that dog in the air,
You're not wrong.
flying corgis, devouring faces. Oh, that's not bad.
They don't have any energy, though. X is 3.
Oh, it doesn't get nearly enough done.
Yeah, I mean, they...
Notably, it shield counters.
Yeah.
Shield counters.
Yes. So what this does is clears off my win, my, like, freebie win, basically. What
Yeah,
it
the flush
doesn't
trigger goes
do,
away.
though... Yeah, so the thing is we just get to get damage in here,
Yeah.
right? Damage. Okay.
Kaboom.
You're at 4. I get to keep this 6/6 and this 4/4.
You get to keep Felia.
And this thing.
Yeah, but it becomes a 1/1.
It does. That's almost good enough,
Almost.
but not quite.
yeah.
So opponent, if I attack here, then opponent eats my Wumpus, chump blocks the Skoa,
yeah.
and we're left with a Skoa versus a Felia, and I'm going to lose that game. But if we play this Oozewag, like, we can't attack, right?
No.
That's just a given.
You do need to set up this board, though.
Correct, which means I need to put another lethal threat into play.
Yeah.
Notably, it would be a second 6/6 with Trample.
Right.
So we're going to play this Oozewag. We're going to adapt it now while our opponent is tapped out, so they don't have something, that I'm not thinking of. Maybe they play a Red Source and a Fanged Flames. No, we didn't adapt it now. That's wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, opponent just
Opponent
dead
just
to
didn't have it.
the double 6/6 with Trample. So
Yeah, all right.
Birthing Ritual really doing a lot that game. That's two kind of like long thought out games.
Yeah. Like, not many cards will grind much like a Birthing Pod will.
Yeah, that's true. And previously the Nentuku on the color being the combo, as it were. Notably, I think that was the 5th win, so we are fully profitable on this train wreck of a draft.
Yep.
And
Gotta
yeah,
feel good about that.
I am perfectly content with that. We have another hand where we have all 3 of our colors, though our hand is awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we mulligan that one. This hand looks way better to me.
Absolutely.
We have all
yeah.
3 of our colors. The Propagator Drone is a
You
good
get to
2-drop.
You get to do the cool. Aw.
Yeah, nah, Cyclops can get out.
I was like, you get to do the cool thing where you put a forest on the bottom and then immediately fetch for it, like you never even mulliganed.
So here's our blue source because we drew the red source.
Yeah.
So now we get blue here, we have red, we have green, and we have our colorless land left over, which means, as you keep saying, we have all 4 of our colors.
Yes.
Notably, we've drawn 2 lands in a row.
Yeah.
So our 6-card hand with 2 spells is still a hand that only has 2 spells.
Sure is.
Not ideal. So yeah, we take this hit. It is what it is. Opponent just curving out. Fine.
Okay, get that color down.
Yeah, and
We
we're-
decide the blade's good enough.
Well, no, we decide that we haven't drawn a spell, and we can't let our opponent get too far ahead on us.
Sure.
So we're just gonna play out what we can because at least we can trade with the Watchdog here.
Yeah. Although they are on the green-white archetype, which is the
Oh,
modified archetype.
Yeah, no, we're probably gonna lose at this point.
There's very little. Oh, they are just attacking as a 3.
Yeah, and I'm blocking
Okay.
because I feel almost forced. Opponent has just 2 3-power creatures. I can't just take 6
I
here
can't
and go to
believe that
11.
worked.
Me either. But I'm thrilled it did.
Like, I'm actually stunned.
The Evolution Witness makes it make a little bit of sense here. We at least drew a castable card, so that's better than
Yes.
nothing. I think we should play it main phase for the same reason that you mentioned earlier, except
Yeah.
this time I thought of it.
Just go take a look.
We find
Drad's not bad.
it's not good. We really need some fat. All we have is lands. Like, we're going to take it because we kind of have to. We even didn't play our land drop to see what we hit, so
Yeah.
good job.
Good job past you.
Good job past me. We didn't make the same mistake as last time. I think I should have attacked there, because if they want to trade off their Witness without evolving it, or adapting it, they had a white source up. They could not have adapted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should have attacked there. We just missed 2 points of damage, because now, like, this is the fastest adapt plus more stuff. Also, if we had adapted, then we get the dog back and get to proliferate and get another thing back potentially, but I guess there's only nothing in the graveyard, huh?
Yeah, they get to absorb the Death Toucher.
Yeah,
So, like, the
which
witness
means
is
it's not
safe.
worth blocking with the Death Toucher.
Yeah.
We can trade
you don't
with the
want the thing to
repurposer.
die.
Yeah,
But you
But I
also
don't-
don't want to take 3.
exactly. So we take 4, which, yay. Yep, they get a dog back. I trade with their thing. Notably, the green-white deck, not exactly the deck that takes advantage of 0/1 spawns particularly well.
Yeah. That's
drew-
definitely true.
We did draw another land. So we have drawn 1 spell thus far this game.
Yep. We can't actually cycle that landscape.
Yeah, I need it to make sure the drone is jump blocking every turn. And we're still taking 3 even through doing that.
Yeah. Well, no,
But-
just you literally can't.
Oh,
It requires
yeah.
a white man.
Sure. Yeah, I thought you meant, no, we actually want the colorless source because it's how we maybe don't die.
Yeah, this position looks real not good.
It doesn't, it's hard to win when you don't
Ooh.
cast spells. Now I need to jump block that instead of the witness, so we're taking 7 here.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Well, here's this. Oh, I thought I needed the colorless source. Why did I think I needed a colorless source?
Because it's an Eldrazi and it feels like it should.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, ow. I still probably need to leave this colorless land in play because I have cards that I can cast off
Oof.
of that.
Oof, ouch, your bones.
I mean, this is almost a card. Maybe it's a real card. It's going to be like a 5-drop just... No, that's...
It's a 4.
I don't have another red source.
Nope.
Which I realize after I try to cast it and be like, oh, I can't. Anyway,
Well, at least it was a quick defeat.
that was a bit of a tough one, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. Like, not drawing spells the whole game, it's just never the kind of game you want to lose on, right?
Yeah.
So to close out the draft on that, not ideal, but it is
Yeah.
what it is. Like we said, 4 wins is always the goal.
4 wins is the goal. You got 5.
We got 5, making it an actual profitable draft. We're up, 100 gems or whatever.
And fighting your way up in a deck you weren't exactly thrilled about is...
With 2 like hard fought wins
Yeah.
among them too, right? Like 2 of those wins definitely felt like we had no business staying in those games.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, at the end of the day, I'll take that. And yeah, Jason, thanks again for joining me.
Not
and,
a problem at all.
We'll be hopefully doing more of these soon enough.
Yeah, I can't wait.
See you in the next one.
Bye.